These musicals are fucking sick, and you should listen to them, and here's why. 10. The Pirates of Penzance. Now, technically, this is a comic opera, but it's performed often enough by musical theater companies that it somehow counts, because the difference between something being called an opera and something being called a musical is... Anyway, The Pirates of Penzance was written by these two old white guys named Gilbert and Sullivan, and they're super fucking dead, because they wrote it like 3.5 million centuries ago. Now, why is this super old operetta by two dudes that are super dead on my top 10? Because it's hilarious, and it's the only piece of musical theater that consistently makes me laugh, and laugh hard, which is amazing, considering that musical comedy is an entire genre with dozens and dozens of titles that I have listened to, and I can't remember earnestly guffawing to any of them. I've had lots of, I see what you did there, and, I get it, but not actual, honest-to-God laughter. This script is gold. It is better than it has any right to be. It was written in the 1800s, and that is ridiculous. Well, I should add a disclaimer. This is only with the 1981 revival, starring Kevin Kline, the recording of which is easily available to you online. Just listen to it and marvel at the sheer genius of the entire cast's comedic timing. And it's not just the script, the songs are actually funny. They're so farcical and fun, and just, you want to sing and dance along like a pirate. It's so joyous and unashamed to be goofy, and those are not normally qualities I look for in a musical. 9 out of 10 musical quote-unquote comedies I find to be just not funny. Especially when it comes to the music. There's something very difficult about making songs laugh-worthy. They're jokes you've heard before. By its very nature, song structure is repetitive, and when you couple that with repeat listenings, it's very easy to write a song that makes your listener go, this again. But Pirates manages to pull it off every time for me. And I don't know, I think it's a combination of the absolutely stellar performances by every single cast member, but also how boldly silly these characters are. It's just a good time. And again, a farcical romp set in 1879 featuring comical misunderstandings by maritime officials and clueless vagabonds is a hot zero of the things that I look for in musical theater. And it still won me over. That is not to say it can't be done wrong. It most certainly can be a slog where the punchlines never punch, and I have been in one of those productions, and I hated it. So, you must listen to the 1981 Kevin Kline recording. It is the best version by far, not just comedically, but also musically, in my opinion. Okay, number 9, The Fantasticks. This is the last comedy you'll be seeing on this list. It is all misery from here on down. So why is The Fantasticks my number 9? Well, honestly, it holds a special place in my heart from my youth. Well, first of all, it has roles for baritones. Like, everyone except Louisa is a baritone or can be played by non-tenors, including the male ingenue. I've seen a tenor cast as him who was not able to hit the low notes during the I Can See It reprise, and that was so gratifying, let me tell you. If there were one word to describe this show, it would be charming. The music, the story, the characters, the general tone of the piece, it's a very intimate, yet kind of casual feeling. There's a warmth to it, like you're listening to an old friend tell you about their life, how they've grown wiser, how they've loved and hurt and wished and despaired and made peace. It's probably the only musical I can think of where being scored only by a single piano works to its benefit. Part of the beauty of it is how easy it is to do right, how cheap it is to do right. You don't even need a set. In fact, the intimacy of it is even helped by the lack of any big flashy production elements. Now it's definitely problematic in some ways, and if you've heard it depends on what you pay, you know what I'm talking about. That really, really unfortunate phrasing that did not age well. So that's why I recommend you listen to the 2006 revival. It's my favorite. I think it's the most beautifully done. It changes the major word choice problem in that one song for the most part, and it even includes dialogue, or at least some speeches the characters give, which really kind of wraps it all together and gives you a lovely experience. Number 8, Cabaret. Cabaret is the story of a far-off country that found itself at a turning point where regular people were confronted with actual, real-life, honest-to-God Nazis, and people's reactions ranged from mild disapproval to exasperated apathy, and they didn't do anything to stop them, and so the fascists genocided millions of people. I'm sure that would never happen again, though. Surely, after that happened, we would know we had to stamp out fascism wherever it reared its ugly head immediately and without hesitation, or else they're going to kill us all. But don't worry, it's just a musical. Anyway, playing the MC is my favorite thing I've ever done. Definitely the best thing I've ever done. I could do it for years if they asked me to. So, producers, please ask me to. Please. Listen to the Alan Cumming version. I actually don't listen to the show a lot, but I think the message is relevant enough always that it deserves to be talked about still all these years later. 7. Spring Awakening. Oh, Spring Awakening. This one is a combination of message and music. The soundtrack has some of the best alternative rock in musical theater, which is like not a high bar currently, but still. It has songs that can stand up on their own. This would be an incredible album even without a story behind it. And I really appreciate the message that, wow, things sure are terrible here in 19th century Germany. Everyone in power is terrible. Our teachers are terrible. Our parents are terrible. Life is terrible. But one day, things will be moderately less awful for everyone. Even though we'll be very, very dead by then. Some of us much, much more dead than others. And again, as with every musical on this list so far, actual good roles for baritones and maybe altos. I think you could probably swing Ilsa as an alto. And the book of this can also be pretty funny if it's done right. Actually, I think you could say that of all the shows I've listed so far, the books can be really funny, or not at all, which has been my experience with every single show listed so far that I've seen in person. And Spring Awakening especially, I think you need to bring a sense of humor to, because the music and especially the plot are so dismal. You really need a break from being sad and angsty, but mostly sad. And if you can pull that off, then Spring Awakening is probably a 10 out of 10. 6. Rent. Rent is the musical with the group of people I'm most likely to want to hang out with. A bunch of starving artists, anarchists, and queers trying to survive day-to-day life in New York City. Sign me the up! I am down with that. I've had a turbulent relationship with Rent, you could say. When I was a freshman in high school, I was pretty into it. Then I got a little older, and by a little older, I mean like maybe 2 or 3 years older, and I looked down on it as one of the starter musicals the kids were into, like Wicked. And I couldn't really articulate a reason for not liking it anymore, other than I've heard Seasons of Love way too many times, and I hate it. I still hate it. Stop playing it, please. It was fine, but they ruined it. As I grew older, I did figure out a reason to not like Rent. Everything rhymes, and I'm not a huge fan of rhyming. Honestly, I don't see why we have to do it always. I don't see why songs have to rhyme at all. And this is something that I kept in mind when writing my first major musical, and now I kind of realize why rhyming is a thing. Also, Rent, I think, is a little overwritten in some parts and underwritten in others. And what does that mean? It means I'm a pretentious snob who doesn't know what she's talking about, but wants to sound really smart. No, but actually, I've come full circle now, and I really appreciate Rent for everything that it is, everything it tried to be, even everything it failed to be, because it's honest. It's real. It's painful. It's joyful. It could have dipped into melodrama. I mean, maybe it does a little. There are certainly very dramatic parts, but I don't know, man. That's just Rent. And it's beautiful. For me, watching these people that personally I can really connect with, live their lives, watch this friend group that I wish I had live out a life I could see myself having. I don't know, it's very personal for me. And my favorite theme in art, I think, is things are very bad, but we will make them better. And I think Rent falls sort of into that category. I think No Day But Today is kind of useless as a slogan most of the time, because, like, how am I supposed to be seizing the day more than I already am with the time allotted? I work for 8 hours, I sleep for 8 hours, and then I do whatever else with those 8 hours I'm not bound to. I've got, like, homework and videos to make and musicals to write, or maybe that is how I'm supposed to be seizing the day, or maybe it means I'm supposed to ask out that cutie in my gender studies class. I don't know, it's so vague. It probably means that seizing the day means you should seize the means of production. Actually, no, I'm pretty sure that is what it means. But regardless, the most important thing I take away from Rent is that, hey, life is actual hell in this, the year of our Lord 1996 / whatever year it currently is, but together we can make it just a little more bearable. And that's something you can hold on to. And I do. Well, I've been your host, Phoenix Victoria. Tune in next week when we count down my 5 favorite musicals of all time and why you should listen to them. Also, follow me on Twitter, link in the description. Okay, bye.